Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Room of Acquirement. I'm Curtis, your curator to this magical collection. And last time on the Room of Acquirement, I showed off the invisibility cloak and gave you a bit of a history lesson on its role in the wizarding world. Today on the Room of Acquirement, I'm going to be answering a question that I posed to you at the end of my last video. That question was, based on what you've seen here today, what two items will appear in my next video? Before I answer that question, the first thing I must do is inform you of a spoiler alert. It is important for you to know before continuing any further that the information I'm about to share with you is only divulged in Year 7 of Harry Potter's Wonderful Adventures through Hogwarts School and the Wizarding World. However, the information is not necessarily crucial to the main story's ultimate climax. Now, with that in mind, it's time for me to answer your question. Aside from the invisibility cloak that I wore last time in the Room of Acquirement, there is the Elder Wand and the Resurrection Stone. All three of these items come together to make the Deathly Hallows. Now, for those of you who don't know what the Deathly Hallows are, not to worry. It all begins with a story from Tales of Beedle the Bird. There were once three brothers walking along a lonely winding road at twilight. The three brothers came across a dangerous river which would have normally claimed their lives, but since they were very skilled in magic, they waved their wands and built a bridge to cross the river. Halfway across the bridge, however, their path was blocked by a hooded figure. It was Death. He felt cheated, for travelers normally drowned in the rushing waters of the river. But Death was cunning, and he decided to congratulate the three brothers on their magic, and said that each had earned a reward for having been clever enough to defeat him. The first brother was a combative man, and he decided to ask Death for a wand more powerful than any other in existence. A wand that must always win duels for its owner. Death obliged, breaking a branch off of a nearby elder tree, infusing it with thestral hair, and crafting it into this wand, now known as the Elder Wand. The second brother was a very arrogant man and decided he wanted to humiliate Death even further, and so he asked Death for the power to recall souls from the other world. Death obliged, reached into the river and plucked a stone from its banks, which he then endowed with the power to recall souls, and thus the Resurrection Stone was born. The third brother, being the humblest of the three, he asked Death to provide him with something that would allow him to leave there without being followed by Death. And so Death reluctantly handed over his own cloak of invisibility. The three brothers traveled together for a while before splitting up and going their own separate ways. The first brother traveled to a nearby village to find a wizard with whom he had once dueled. This time, with the Elder Wand in hand, not only did he duel this man, but he defeated him with ease. He then bragged to many about his invincibility with the Elder Wand in hand, and naturally, many became envious of his power. As a result, that night when he got drunk and passed out, a thief entered his room, slit his throat, and stole the wand, and so Death claimed the first brother for his own. The second brother, with the resurrection stone in hand, returned home. There, he used the stone's power to recall the soul of the woman that he had intended to marry before her untimely death. Unfortunately, she was little more than a ghost to him and could not be seen or heard by anyone else. As a result, she began to despair, for she no longer belonged in our world. And so the second brother, driven mad by hopeless longing, took his own life so that he could truly be with her. And so death took the second brother for his own. As for the third brother, death searched for him for many years, but could never find him. It was only when he had attained a great age that he finally removed the cloak of invisibility and passed it down to his son. After that, he greeted death as an old friend and went with him gladly, departing this life as equals. That is the story of the Deathly Hallows. It is also said that the one who possesses all three of the Deathly Hallows will become Master of Death. This story, from Tales of Beedle the Bird, has been told to wizarding children for ages. But the truth behind the Deathly Hallows is still a mystery. Albus Dumbledore believes that the story around the Deathly Hallows originated from the people who witnessed the powers of the Deathly Hallows. The power to kill, the power to resurrect, and the power to go unseen. All attributes of death. And so, in Dumbledore's eyes, the story from Tales of Beedle the Bird is merely a fairy tale. It is his belief that the three brothers crafted these items by themselves. Regardless of which version of the story you choose to believe in, these three items left their mark on the wizarding world. After the Elder Wand was taken from the first brother, it left its bloody trail as it moved from hand to hand throughout history. For hundreds of years, people sought the Elder Wand for themselves and killed the previous owner so that they couldn't come looking for it. This bloody history also gave the Elder Wand the name of the Death Stick, as any who owned it were sure to die. As for the Resurrection Stone, it was left behind and passed down through the Peveril family for many generations until eventually being inherited by the Gaunt family. For those of you who don't know the Gaunt family, they are descendants of Salazar Slytherin. It's unclear when their family crest was etched into the Resurrection Stone, and it is also unclear as to when the Resurrection Stone was mounted onto the ring of Gaunt. But both the stone and the ring now served as a symbol of their pure-blooded heritage. Lastly, the invisibility cloak, as you already know from the last video, was also passed down as a family heirloom through the Peveril family, eventually reaching the Potter family. As for what it means to be the Master of Death, I believe that the true mastery of death is to no longer fear it. This is shown in the 6th and 7th years of Hogwarts. Once again, a spoiler alert. At the end of Book 6, we see the death of Albus Dumbledore. He did not fear what was coming for him, and thus he had mastery over death. And although this can't save his life, it did allow him to come to terms with a future that he could not change. We also see Harry become the owner of all three Deathly Hallows, and he too faces death with no fear. Now, although the Deathly Hallows in the Wizarding world have long since been destroyed or forgotten, due to Harry's actions in Book 7, Muggles in our world are fully capable of experiencing what it is like to have all three Hallows themselves. As today, I'm before you, not just holding the cloak of invisibility, but I also have with me the Elder Wand and the Resurrection Stone. So, for those of you who wish to be the owner of the 3 Deathly Hallows, you already know that WoW Stuff makes an invisibility cloak that you can get at your local retailer. But the Elder Wand can be acquired from many different distributors of wand replicas, both online and in retailers. But if you truly want a representation of the Resurrection Stone and the Ring of Gaunt, you should go through the Noble Collection, as their Resurrection Stone and Ring of Gaunt are quite detailed, if a little pricey. However, there are other mock-ups out there, such as this one. It just has a plain black piece of plastic for a stone, and the metal that the ring itself is made out of is tarnished. The reason being is this ring is only meant for some occasional use in cosplay and not really a collectible. The ring from the Noble Collection, on the other hand, as you can see here, has no tarnished metal. It's in fact gold-plated to prevent tarnishing. And the Resurrection Stone contains the symbol within it that we see in the movies. And now, folks, it's time for me to wrap things up with today's Harry Potter quizzing and trivia question that I pose to you all. What magical object exists in the wizarding world, but is also a mytho-historical object that was once thought to have been created in the Muggle world? The answer to that question will be debuted in the next video. Feel free to leave your questions and comments down below, and don't forget to spell that like button and charm that bell so that you don't miss a single magical item of this collection. And with that, I bid you adieu.